Welcome back. And let me introduce myself again. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, and this is Outbound Selling Podcast. Now, what's the genesis for this? What's the reason? What makes this special? What makes it something that you want to and need to subscribe to? It comes down to very simply this. Prospecting is without a doubt the hardest element, the hardest segment of selling. It is the number one reason why salespeople stop being part of the sales profession because they can't prospect. In this podcast, what we do is one thing. We bring experts and leaders who help share with you strategies that they've used to grow their business. Now, it's all centered around really Outbound Conference. What is Outbound Conference? Well, Outbound Conference is a conference held every year. This year it's being held in September at the Georgia World Congress Center in Atlanta. And Outbound Conference is a conference designed to do really one thing: help you prospect better. How does Outbound Conference work? Well, really, it brings together the greatest leaders from all over the world to really come and share both in person and virtually, because it's not just several days in person, but it's several more days online and through this podcast, which is really an extension of the Outbound Conference. Sharing ideas. Now, here's what makes this conference so special. There's no pitching. There's no selling. How many times do you go to a conference where all they do from the stage is they sell? They're trying to pitch on things. None of that. This is 100% content, 100%. And it's also about the networking. Not only networking with the presenters, the speakers, but networking with everybody, because everybody in attendance absolutely wants to be there. So that's Outbound Conference. I do encourage you to check out Outbound Conference and go ahead and use my code Mark, M-A-R-K, 10, and you'll save $100 on the ticket. But now let's talk about the podcast specifically. Here's what I've done. I've asked each one of the presenters, each one of the speakers at Outbound to come and share their strategies, their ideas. The format works very fast. It moves in about 22 minutes. Yes, it's all done in 22 minutes. With the idea being that you get some insights that you can learn from, that you can apply. And you also see a little bit of the personal side of the seller. So many times what happens is you see great, successful salespeople and you kind of wonder who they are. Are they mysterious people? No, these are human beings just like me. We literally go through the same trials and issues that everyone else does. But what we do is we try to put the human, authentic element to sales, and specifically prospecting. Now, Outbound Conference has three key things it's focused on. Prospecting, of course, is number one. That's 80% of it. But to be successful prospecting, you also have to understand productivity and pipeline. You see, that kind of makes up the other 20%, although they're really just as important, because really, unless you are productive and unless you have an effective pipeline, you can't prospect. So you really have to focus all together. But what is this about? And this is why I want you to subscribe to the podcast. I want you to make it a weekly habit to be listening to it, because you're going to gain insights. People who are going to be on the show: Victor Antonio, Jeb Blunt, Anthony Iannarino. Other people, including Sherry Leviton, Meredith Elliott Powell, Larry Levine, James Muir, Jeff Bajorek, Stu Heineck. The list goes on and on and on. In fact, really, if you want to see the list, go out to outboundconference.com and take a look at the whole list of speakers, because it's also including people such as Donald Kelly, Daryl Prale, and a host of others. I could go on forever, but that is why this podcast is so unique, because it's not just guests, it's proven leaders, proven successful people who are leaders in the sales community. Hey, now, if you want to check me out, Mark Hunter, you can go to thesaleshunter.com, or you can listen to the other two podcasts that I do. The Sales Hunter podcast, I do each week, where I interview guests, and Sales Logic, not an interview show, but a conversation show I do each week with co-host Meredith Elliott Powell, where we discuss a sales topic. I really encourage you to subscribe to all three podcasts. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. I want you to check out outboundconference.com. I want you to subscribe, and I want you to listen, and I want you to, hey, please leave a review on the episodes, because reviews are a great way to help share with others why the podcast is so beneficial. Hey, I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in each of the episodes.